Hey there, today we're going to be talking about how to add and subtract matrices, and what we're going to see is this is relatively simple. In fact, it's so simple that it actually would take longer if we were to do this in the calculator than by hand. Alright, so first off, a little bit of vocab. When I'm talking about the dimensions of a matrix, we usually say it's some number by some number. The first number, I'm just using A to represent this, is the number of rows. The second number is the number of columns. So for instance, this matrix right here would be a 2 by 3 matrix because there are 2 rows and 3 columns. Remember, rows are the vertical ones and columns are horizontal. So, 2 matrices can only be added or subtracted if they have the same dimensions. This means I can add a 2 by 3 matrix to another 2 by 3 matrix. I can add a 2 by 2 matrix to a 2 by 2 matrix, but I can't add a 2 by 3 matrix to a 2 by 2 matrix. They have to have the same dimensions in order for them to be added or subtracted. And the reason for this is because when we add 2 matrices, or when we subtract 2 matrices, we simply add or subtract the corresponding entries. So all we're doing is single bits of adding or subtracting, but we have to make sure that each of the entries are added or subtracted with the corresponding entry in the other matrix. So let's take a look at what this looks like. If I have these 2 matrices here and I want to add them together, all I'm going to need to do is add the corresponding entries. So this first entry right here, the top left entry, would add with the top left entry of the second matrix, and so on. So when I actually write this out, and I'm going to write all of my steps here, and you don't necessarily have to, but it's a good idea just to make sure you're getting everything correct. For the top left entry, I would have 1 plus 3. Then I would have 4 plus 0, 8 plus 5, and negative 2 plus 6. And all I would need to do now is simplify each of these entries individually by adding them together. So I would end up with a matrix. One plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 5 is 13. And negative 2 plus 6 is also 4. So I end up with a matrix 4, 4, 13, 4. And that's all we need to do. And the same rules apply when we're subtracting, but obviously we would subtract instead of adding.